to season 2, episode 3 of the We Talking podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Kamilah Gumbs. And today's episode is just going to be me. And we're going to do a short catch up preview, a little not mid season, but mid. It's kind of October. You started this season in June. What is really happening, girl? Why is the blog only posting national holidays? What are you doing with your life, girl? Update. So that is today's episode. It should be short, sweet, quick to the point. We're gonna address some issues, just life updates for myself. We're gonna talk about what's happening in the country for a little bit, and then give me a couple seconds to rant about how much I love basketball. And then I'm gonna ask you what new topics and which guests would you like to see on the We Talking podcast. So to get started, with just a little life update. As of now, when I'm recording this on Saturday, October 9th, I'm currently a senior at Wichita State University. If you haven't known that yet, in Wichita, Kansas, I am a political science major with minors in communication and sociology. And for those who are not very entwined into my personal life, I am also the current student body vice president. I was a president of a RSO, but I had to drop that just due to, life being tough. When I tell you life been rough. Being student body vice president is definitely, I knew it was going to be a challenge, but it is something that I've never actually experienced before. And I'm thankful for what I'm experiencing, because it's helping me understand systems and challenges and even bureaucracy to a different type of level, and help me understand higher education. But it's a lot of work. And, sometimes I'm just like, oof, I am tired. And, I'm still trying to have some type of social life with school, taking 15 credits. I can graduate on time in the spring, and having to do all these assignments. And then, doing policy work, going to meetings, figuring out the issues, having conversations with students, everything in those in between. And so it's been interesting. But this year has kind of been strange in the sense of, I think I've been the most social I've been on college campus. So again, people think I'm an extrovert, which is not very true. I just know how to network. And that comes from years and training of being around all these people and having to introduce myself and even have conversations on the fly. But I get drained so quickly. I like to be by myself. I like to be secluded in my room. I like to do things by myself. I like to, be quiet. Sometimes the quiet is just relaxing to me. But also, so doing this job, you're around so many people. And then I've been around a lot of people, like peers in general. So by the time the weekend come, your girl is like, hey, I don't know what's happening. I am tired. And then you gotta do so much homework. But then it's like, okay, I'm tired, but I'm kind of enjoying the process. And of course, you can have some days when you're just like, yo, this is not making any sense. But then it's just, other days like, okay, I understand what I'm doing. And there's a purpose, there's a reason. And I must deal with the reason and the purpose for this, right? So, of course, as life updates and everything that's happening in between. So because life has been such chaotically busy, and I had so many plans for the summer. Over the summer, I took a Dutch course at another university, at Indiana University to be correct. But it was like a workshop, and it was 4 hours, 5 days a week. And then you had at least 8 hours worth of homework due twice a week. So my entire life was Dutch. It was dedicated to the Netherlands. Spreek ik Nederlands niet zo goed. And I passed. That's the important part. Language requirements. And I can understand documents. I can read a little bit more. Like I didn't take Dutch all my life. But it refresher course let me understand how to read Dutch languages and stuff as more. And it helped that my one of my classmates, when he did his presentations, because at the end of the week we had to do presentations, and his presentations was a lot about history. So he used a lot of high complicated Dutch words that you just have to be like, that's a lot of spit to hack up to say. But that's just really, I've been busy. And I want to end the year on to still using my platform. Like I understand the whole point is to, talk about things, focus on things, have conversations about different things from an island point of view, from an island girl point of view, not point of view. But life just tell me, no, girl, you ain't foreign doing school and you got all these things going on. And when this episode comes out, probably a week from now, I'm recording it, says like October 9th. If you know me, you would probably know about the situation that I'm currently dealing with study financing. And I want to clarify here that, a lot of this is not personal vendetta. I'm not trying to get somebody. People like tell me they feel like it's an attack, they feel like a witch hunt. And I'm just like, no, I'm just really amplifying the issue that's currently happening. And do I feel a little disappointed that people's first reaction is not like, oh my gosh, this is a problem, and oh my gosh, this is a witch hunt? Yes. But then, I kind of understand. People see this as me moving from emotions and not trying to fix policy. And yes, while this have some type of emotion motivation to it, because I am a very emotional person, like I am very, very emotional. I tend to not express it publicly, but I am a very, very emotional person. So of course, things that I say will have some heavy like sentiments of such, but none of it is really on the personal attacks. It's really just come down to the professionalism of how things are functioning within the Division of Study Financing and even within the Ministry of Education on the whole. If you know me and if you've listened to past podcasts where I've had conversations with my friend Nia, and we highlight a lot of the issues. A lot of our focus always goes back to the Ministry of Education. My grandparents are teachers, they are educators. So basically, they were part of raising me. So I understand, the importance of education. My mother, while not an educator by profession, runs an after school program. And, also growing up in the church, who going to Sunday school and brigade, you always already emphasize the importance of knowing who you are, knowing your education, knowing your history. So that ministry always has something, I don't know, I always felt the urge to try to fix it. And I understand as like an undergrad student, I'm 22. What am I doing trying to fix a whole ministry? Like, girl, relax. But like, there's always been some urge, like, nah, like this need to be fixed. So many policies are outdated. Just the way it functions, why our curriculums are based off X, Y, Z, why we don't have such, Sint Maarten based curriculums, because they always tell you, yeah, you are Sint Maarten and you need to know your culture, but you ain't learning nothing in school. You know what I mean? So it's really interesting. I've always, always had some type of love for education, for sports, and especially for culture, growing up dancing and dancing all the cultural dances, everything in between. So, and just understanding music, growing up around cultural style of music, understanding how it changed, developed all of the years. So from like, string band music from like Tanya and the Boys to now the type of soca that we make, to the different rhythms we have from like producers from like Dimitri, etc. So like those things really fascinate me. And we're not really educated on those things. You just know because you listen or you're around. And if you're not really paying attention, you're not really going to learn nothing. So that's kind of, weird. But yeah, so, that situation, hopefully it doesn't get worse before it gets better. I foresee things, but, I'm not going to dive in too much before people say, yeah, she bad. Mine, all is bad. Mine energy that she got. And I'm not really in the mood for all of that. If you know me, I'm a genuinely nice person. You just really got to get on my bad side for me to genuinely be upset with you. Like, I'm not the biggest, again, introvert. not the biggest people person. I can act like the biggest people person, but I'm not the biggest people person. And but not yet. But all of this, transitioning to current developments on the island, we is interesting because as someone that's a communication minor, I really had a pretty okay stint. I wouldn't say okay due to the quality of my writing, but okay due to the nature of working in the office, etc. Like within journalism, and I wrote for the school paper. And I understand the importance of writing and creating a story, creating a story that people know what's happening in a certain place. And I think people haven't really experienced good journalism in Sint Maarten in a long time. That with Mr. Ralph Kantab himself establishing himself as a pretty rich, I was going to say a word and I know I can't say the word. So, but as a pretty decent, journalist on the island, people are getting confused. Like, they're like, why does this story make sense? This doesn't just feel like gossip. This feels like actual news. And when you get actual news, people in the public are more open to what is actually happening. And it's really interesting because there's so many different sides to the argument. You have people, for example, that are very under the government not transparent, why we have to have confidentiality. But then you gotta know that there is the difference between transparency and confidentiality. And I believe that sometimes I get blurred, but then it's also very important for you to know what's happening. You don't have to know all the details, Details ain't really that necessary unless it's something really, really dramatic. But if people aren't aware of what's happening, you get in trouble. You know what I mean? Like, things get to go under the bus, and that's why we have all these issues with accusations, true or false, when in regards of corruption. That's why we got so many people who got court cases. That's why we got so much people who blaming this one for this one and that one for this one. At the end of the day, everybody at fault. And having the conversation that I had today, once again, I was talking with Nian earlier today, and she made an important part. 11 years ago, so this is going to come out after October 10th. But 11 years ago, we made a decision that, we're going to be a country. We're going to be a big man country. And she talked about saying we're going to be the country and we're going to run our own things. It comes with a responsibility of having to be held accountable by the citizens that you're running. And of course, everything, quote unquote, going to be politically driven. Sure. We 16 square miles. Breathing is politically driven. But at the end of the day, you contributing to the destruction of a lot of people's lives. And that could go from all across ministries for all 11 years. I don't think there has been a stagnant improvement of life in the last 11 years, and that's extremely problematic. Yeah, we young, yeah, we this, but we're not even making like the first step. We still arguing, we still in the parking lot arguing if we should go in the party or not. Mind you, invitation party, them done have the table set up for you, everything to go into this party, your food done served. And you arguing in the parking lot, but why we should go in the party? You even making the effort to go through the door. And that's like, it's frustrating. And then it's like, why I live in the States? This place a mess too. But then it's like, Sint Maarten is home. As much as I complain and be like, bye, Sint Maarten people stress me out, bye, all I know at the end of the day, Sint Maarten. You know what I mean? After I finish all my education, I can want to go back home. But how I gonna go back home if we ain't even making any efforts to make home a place that people could go back to? And I feel like Ay. That's just interesting. Like, honestly, that's just interesting. Very, very interesting. And I don't know. And then you have that, and then you got the COVID. Like, come on, guys, we in a panda river, panda bank. As of now, cases we in the 130 somethings. Not too bad, but like COVID it's just been interesting because I was telling my mommy the other day, I went through 17 months of this pandemic. Never say 17, let's say 15 months of the pandemic. Nobody that I knew really close off really had COVID like that. Precautions, etc. In the last 3 months, I had three very integral people of my life pass away from COVID-19. And two of them has passed away in the last 2 weeks. And then it kind of hit you different because you far. So you don't really have people around you to like understand the grief. You know what I mean? Like you can't reflect on the good times. Like I can't be like, oh yeah, I up here, having a conversation. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when they just yelling, they used to call me this XYZ. With anybody I have around here because they don't understand. They can't share that story with you. And then it's just like it got me thinking, and it's like people like, yeah, you know, during in the pandemic, then like we still through it and we just opening up. Okay, ain't nobody got no money. And this goes back to us being so dependent on tourism. If you listen to season 1, episode 1, when I have a conversation with my good friend, my good up friend from St. Kitts, Dennis McCall Jr., who, by the way, that episode was recorded in the beginning of the year, and I think it's still extremely relevant to this day. He is a professional when it actually comes to understanding tourism, especially when it comes to understanding the airline industry. The man is a PhD student with emphasis on tourism and, airlines and the air industry. So I don't want nobody come telling me that Dennis don't know what he talking about, because Dennis know exactly what he talking about. That was so aggressive. But yeah, and if you go back to that episode, and it really, 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 really highlights how just horrible tourism has been to the region. And it's like, yeah, but this is our thing. This is how we make the money. This is how we strive. But look at us now. We have put in so much emphasis on the tourism product. We neglected every single thing else, including ourselves. And I mentioned this, and if you know the good sis, Nicole, and the Chatterbox podcast, I was over there. The episode dropped last week, October 8th. Yes, the episode dropped October 8th. If you listen to that, I mentioned it a little bit. It sounds bad, but I can't say it. I gotta let it out. As may his soul rest in peace. I hope he's resting well. I is Claude Watty biggest number one hater. And people be like, oh, you just hating him because of who he, descendancy, XIC. That ain't really the reason now. Because you could have been good in your day and your offspring just or vice versa. You could be a good person, but the people you come from is street garbage, right? But we celebrate him as we should, rightfully. Okay, he understood that we have a tourism brand, and he understood that we can capitalize on our personality and who we are as a people to be this tourism brand. But what was a failure of this. And I think it's also a failure at the end of the day of the whole free market system and the understanding of capitalism is that the failure at the end of the day really came into how we develop for tourism. We focus so much on catering to the people coming outside, allowing so much development, selling off so much land for cheap, that we didn't invest in us, in how we do culture, how we sustain ourselves agriculturally, how do we identify as a people? Like, we didn't focus on ourselves. And thus, this is why we have so much environmental issues. This is why people don't have land no more. This is why it's so hard to get a job, because a job now in the tourism industry is not stable. Hurricane Irma, COVID, exposed all of them, all of the flaws. And we were just living in this, oh yeah, we got 10 different cruise ships on our Wednesday. Town shut down. Town technically shut down, yeah, with all the shutters. Like, it's just really, it's giving confusion. And we don't know how we can fix that, but guess what? Doing my job. No, I'm kidding. No, but there needs to be actual like efforts, and we're always talking about diversifying the economy, and a lot of it still focused on tourism. And like, I get it. Tourism is all we know. But Mary sing about take the shackles off my feet. We need to take the shackles off our feet. We need to dance and dance away from tourism. It's a product. It's a cute product. Yes, bring all these white people to misbehave on our island. Sure, cool, whatever. But nobody want to work in the service industry anymore because it's high labor and underpaid. And again, if you ask me, it goes back to the capitalism model. But people can be like, nah, we got make money, we got to start businesses, and we gotta start business quick, and we gotta start big business, and you don't need all these regulations, because these regulations stopping for us to develop in the economy. Look, I taken a sociology class as an economic class, and it's stressing me out. But every single thing when you look at capitalism is really, really failing. And people fail to see it because we have this, I need to get rich mentality, and not the I need to survive. My neighbor need to survive. My neighbor, auntie, uncle need to survive. And it's just, I don't know. It's just interesting. But anyways, that's my point. I did say this one going to be too long, and I can rant about how capitalistic societies has cripple this entire world, and especially our small little country. Yeah. But as I transition into something a little bit more light, if you know me, you know this. If you don't know me, now you're going to know this. As a big basketball fan, I say this as I'm watching college football. Tomorrow, again, recalling this on the night, tomorrow will be the WNBA. Game 1 of the WNBA finals. It's going to be the Phoenix Mercury and the Chicago Sky. And if I'm being completely honest, I was kind of rooting for the Aces, because the Aces have A'ja Wilson, and A'ja Wilson is currently one of my favorite women players right now. And she's just great. And like, I love how, don't take this one out of context, but I love how she like a AKA, but like also a tomboy, but then also like a girly girl, all the confusion in the same time. Like, I get it. I understand. It's great. And funny personality. She got her own statue at the University of South Carolina. Like, hello, MVP. Like, my girl knows what she's doing. But the Sky with Candace Parker and that whole team, and what Candace went over there and be like, hey, y'all were good, but I'm gonna make all you better, and we're gonna win this. Like, Candace Parker is literally legendary, Hall of Fame. As soon as she retire, I feel like they should break the rules and put in a Hall of Fame as soon as she claims she retirement. That woman is just legendary, and she's really good at broadcasting too. Like, those TNT stints, Turner giving her the books, and she deserves it. She deserved the books that Turner is giving her. And then like the Phoenix Mercury, I like them because I love Diana Taurasi. Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird, they're like 40. So of course they're in the league as long as they bond. But also it's just so fascinating to see them because they just changed the game and developed the game, the women's game, and just make it very, very just, I don't know. I don't have the right words. I just love them. And people are dunking on Brittany right now because, she quote unquote managed her voice is deep though. I'll give that to her. And I appreciate that. She'll make a really good bass, like in the choral choirs, anyways. But like the girl know what she doing. Like last night, that clutch block on my good girl Asia, like it just anyways, that clutch block tell them win the game. Man. So anyways, this final's gonna be good. The stories behind it, all of it going to be good. I'm excited. It's gonna be like me and the NBA finals. I rooted for the winner. Like that's just how we gonna go. Transitioning to basketball, preseason is here. I am a fan of the Los Angeles Lakers, even though we currently the retirement home. Retirement home kind of looking nice. I am very interested in how it's gonna happen when the season actually starts. And I think it should be great. It should be great. I am excited to see the Chicago Bulls. So Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, and Alex Caruso. It's given light skin. It's also given, it's looking kind of really cool. Like really, really cool. How I forget? DeMar DeRozan. Like it's given. DeMar DeRozan is probably the only non-light skin starter that they can put on the floor. We're interested. No, like I'm really interested on in the Chicago Bulls and what they're going to produce. Because let's be honest, after Jimmy Butler, nobody really been like looking at them like that. They really haven't been producing much like that as well. And I'm just excited for them. Of course, the Suns, they better pay the boy DeAndre, Bohemian, Palmer. They better pay him. The Bucks gonna be good. The whole situation with the Nets stressing me out. Like these people that ain't trying to get vaccinated. Kyrie, he in New York. Like at this point, I tired of trying to preach to people to get vaccinated. But in my head, I like you in this big, big contact sport. Ayo, take that thing up in your arm. Like same thing with Andrew Wiggins, but he like realized that I need this paycheck. And yeah. So he do it, but that whole Kyrie situation is interesting. And the fact that DC doesn't have a vaccine mandate is kind of interesting. Because Bradley Beal apparently isn't vaccinated, which I don't know. But I feel like Kyle Kuzma also not vaccinated. I think he also not vaccinated either. You see, this is why it's so bad, but this is why sometimes they just don't need to be talking about every and anything because it be stressing me out. It be stressing me out. I'm going to read with you. It be stressing me out. But after all of that, it's just vibes. But like the Wizards, I will be watching Wizards games when they're on national television because I don't feel like paying for League Pass. # broke college student. I will be watching the Washington Wizards because they signed on a center of the name of Jaime Echenike. And it's not going to be weird anymore. I can be a Jaime Echenike stan account now. Like before, I couldn't be. Let me tell you why. He went to Wichita State for the last, my freshman and sophomore year. He was here. And then he played in Spain. And now he in the NBA. And like I've always been a fan of his game since my freshman year. And then sophomore year, his game which was his senior year, was immaculate. Like the man was just boom, 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 all in your face. He like 6'11", 2 somebody, like long, lanky, strong, and could just like I don't know. Could just mash up the thing, right? Mash up the place. And I love that. And I love good basketball. But it was kind of weird. Cause like I used to see the campus kind of small. So I used to see this man kind of often. And then we had a class together. I could be like, yeah, I'm in Janike class. And then we in I'm in Janike stand. And then we in men's and masculinities. And Miss Jody out here talking about cultural references to toxic masculinity. And of course, we had similar aspects of him being from Colombia, and of course, me being from Sint Maarten, Caribbean, that region aspect of it. But yeah, no, I'm gonna be watching some of the game because we stand Jaime and Chinike. Shout out to him. Really, I love that. I really love that. I love to see which of the state players thrive. So, of course, we rep Fred Van Vliet till we die. Till we die. Landry Shamet, we rep. Anybody else in the league that I could think of? Nobody. I can't say we used to root for Ron Baker. Ron Baker retired. He is doing finance. He is working for the local Via Christi. Interest in transitioning to life. But Wichita still love them some Ron Baker. And then transitioning into college basketball. Ayo, I cannot wait. I love me some sport. The experience of going to home games, college basketball. These white people in Wichita can get on wassy. And I just love every second of it. I miss being in the student section. I miss screaming. I miss yelling, cussing at the players, cussing at the referee, cussing at the coaches. And it used to be a menace, but it's like good menacing. I don't know. I don't even know if that's a word. But no, it was fun. It was great. The whole experience was great. And I'm excited for it to come back. The Tuesday coming. So when this episode dropped, the Tuesday, and whatever the Tuesday coming up is, the day, but I don't think the days of the week. We're on the 9th, Sunday the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 12th of October, we're having Shaka Madness. And I have the great opportunity to be one of the judges. Let me explain Shaka Madness. So it's gonna be a night where they do team introductions, and then our men's basketball team won the conference last season. So they get the conference championship rings, which look pretty nice, I want to say. They look nice. And then the girls having a 3-point competition, which I'm very excited for. I'm actually really excited for the girls this season. They have their ups and downs, and last year COVID was just all over them. It was just COVID, girls basketball team, COVID, girls basketball team, COVID, girls basketball team. God bless their hearts. But hopefully, this season they got all these starters back. Everybody come back. They know how to shoot. They know how to play defense. We can get something. So they have a 3-point competition, and then the boys having a slam dunk competition, and then they have intra-squad scrimmages. And the boys having a slam dunk competition, and I have the great opportunity to be a judge. I am so excited. I am going to be so judgy. It's gonna be, I tell everyone, I love this sport. So to be able to have some type of impact in something, in anything regards to this sport, I am extremely excited. But before I could get carried away, and then outside tip about sports, again, love softball. Fall ball is happening, and I love it. I haven't been to a softball game yet because schedules, and it just ain't making sense. But every time I get a notification, we just be mashing up these people. We just be mashing them up, and I love it. I love to win. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. That's why voice say when you wake up this morning, you's a winner. Because you know how good it is to be a winner. Amen. And then, of course, just to wrap up me ranting for about a half hour. I don't even know. But just to wrap it up a little bit, send me new topics. What do you want to hear from the We Talking podcast? And who do you want me to interview? on the We Talking podcast. So if you go through season 1, we interviewed Dennis McCall Jr. You know what I mean? That's my boy from St. Kitts. We love my boy from St. Kitts, Dennis McCall Jr. Then episode 2, we talked about environment and shark, and that was a conversation with the Nature Foundation. And I think that was pretty wild. A lot of people actually haven't listened to it. So I feel like if you want to hear a little bit about Nature Foundation, it's a quick 22 minutes. Ain't nothing too dramatic, nothing too thing, just a good conversation about environmentalism. Episode 3 of season 1, one of my favorites actually. And we were talking about mutual aid and the importance of feeding people. Cough, cough. All these countries, I got everybody starving. My good sis, Tajane Stalker, she started the ICT community fridge, and she stepped down, and it has continued to thrive and do everything that it needs to do. And mutual aid is important. Episode 4 is when my boys Zach and Shema we talk about basketball. As you can see, very, 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 very passionate about basketball. And then from episode 5 is when we went very political for a good while. And, episode 5, we spoke with Urine Waiter, who's now a member of the second chamber of the Tweede Kamer in the Netherlands as a member of D66. And, she's in there doing her thing. I saw her outfit for the opening of Parliament. That's our West Indian woman. She did what she had to do. But, it was really talking about the importance of voting in the Dutch election. And it was very catered to, Sint Maarten students, Antillean students who are living in the Netherlands, and the importance to vote. And of course, elections can come up all the time. So that was a very important episode to listen to. Episode 6 was with MP Melissa Gumbs and MP Rayhan Peterson. Look, I got some insider scoop. That was a bad but some insider scoop. That episode was funny. I had to cut out some things because it was funny. It was just a mess. PFE is always a good time. They're going to take this as party endorsement. Whatever. But PFE is always a good time. And it was interesting because, they're like the new ones. They're the new kids on the block. So this is what they were feeling in March. I can only imagine what they're feeling now. Well, we here in October. But, really talk about the current realities, what was happening. And a lot of that focus was on the petition. And it was interesting. It was a really good conversation. It was funny. Episode 6, was a conversation with MP Sarah Westcott Williams. And that was I really enjoyed that conversation because we were able to talk about, just her story as a prominent woman politician on the island of Sint Maarten. Like, we're going to be honest, not everybody is big Sarah fans. For a long time myself, wouldn't say I was the biggest Sarah fan. I don't. But it was an interesting conversation because you get to understand her thought processes, how she's functioned as being in government for so long. And so that was a really good episode. Episode 8 was MP Claudius Van Campo. Actually, one of the most listened to episodes as well, too. And it was interesting. He's a very opinionated man. Tuncha is very opinionated, and we give him a platform to give all his opinions. And it was fun. It was pretty cool as well. I think that was a good episode. And then episode 9, and how we ended the first season, we talked a lot about education with MP Lumina Duncan and MP Angelique Cromu from the National Alliance Party. And then that one really focused a lot on education and the processes of it. And like I said, I'm very passionate about education. So that was a pretty interesting conversation to have. And then episode 1 for season 2 was Emancipation Talk with Dr. Rhoda Arundel, and we talked about emancipation, and it came out on Emancipation Day. And that was a good cultural conversation. And then lastly, episode 2 of season 2, which we're going to call All About Tongue, that has a conversation about with my uncle, Alphonse Gumbs, one of my godfathers, Christian Books. And it was fun. It was a good conversation. It was fun. It was funny. It was informative, good laughs. It was a great time. So, like, you get the gist. Political, cultural, nonsense, all over the place. This is what we talk about. So, our farm will be coming up with this episode. Let me know what topics you want to address in this podcast. I'm gonna be more intentional of recording podcasts and posting it. I kind of got my life under control. And of course, let me know what guests what guests you want back. And what guests would you like me to reach out to? And to be honest, parliamentarians and government officials are very hard to reach out to. So, give me a break on that one. But yeah. So with that being said, this was episode 3 of season 2 of the We Talking podcast. Thank you for listening to me just rant and ramble about 20 different things in this span of time. I hope I didn't send up your blood pressure. Okay, if I did, I barely got insurance cover myself. So call us a bit. Anyways, you guys have a wonderful evening and I'll see you next time. Bye.